Hello, and welcome back to Deep Dive Cinema, the only podcast where we'll eat your eyes, lungs, and pancreas.
But not the liver. That's where we draw the line.
So, Venom's coming out this week, Elliot.
Yeah.
I
I was going to go watch it, but then I just messed up the times, so I'm not going to go watch it this weekend.
Wasn't out on Wednesday.
Yeah, and I was planning on going on Sunday, so doesn't add up.
So you were going to go several days before it came out.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
I'm just so excited for it. I
It's a
can't wait.
proper fanboy there.
I'm going there on Sunday, and I'm camping. I'm missing 3 days of school.
That's a good coffee.
I don't have any coffee.
I made that coffee myself.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I literally grew the
Bean?
Java. I don't. How does coffee work?
Coffee beans?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So Venom's coming out on Wednesday. Let's do a new segment called Would You Rather Die or Watch Venom?
We need to have that intro in it, though. Would you rather die or watch Venom?
.com /shop
Oh.
for your merch.
Use the coupon code DEEPDIVE for 10% off your symbiote.
This episode is brought to you by Eddie Brock's journalistic career.
Well, a lot of garbage then, huh?
God, this is the worst start to it. We don't have a lot to talk about this week, guys.
No,
let's just be upfront with you.
This is it's been a slow week.
Venom's coming out. I'm gonna see it, but
Yeah, we'll watch it, but we're not gonna be happy about it.
See, if we weren't doing the podcast, I'd wait for a rubbish cam rip to go online to watch it, to be honest, because I don't want to support this.
No.
I want Sony to just stop.
Yeah.
But we're doing it for the art.
Yeah,
and
so if they make the Kraven the Hunter movie without Spider-Man, which will be coming out after Venom if it does well, it's your fault for listening.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I thought you were blaming me, and I was prepared to take that on the chin.
No,
but no, let's
it's
deflect
the
it onto
it's
the
the
viewers.
listeners.
This is all on you guys. Yeah. So tell me, Elliot, what do you think of Venom? What do you think of Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock?
What do I think of Venom the movie or Venom the character?
The character.
I think he's pretty cool. I prefer him when he looks like distinctly not human.
Mm-hmm. Like a big hulking mess.
Yeah, I like sometimes he's got like a neck that's like 3 times as thick as his head, and he gets kind of like an eel kind of look to him, and I'm all about that. Give him a long, thick neck so he looks like an eel. I think he's like, I don't know. There's a lot of a little controversial opinion. There's a lot of like the big famous villains for things I think sometimes aren't that good. They're kind of good because of reputation rather than actually being good. And I think sometimes Venom kind of falls into this. But with Venom, they've done so many different things with him that I think it kind of makes up. You've got Agent Venom, and he's gone in so many different directions. Like he's in space right now, isn't he?
I don't know.
He
Probably.
He like interned at the Avengers, and Tony was like, "Hey man, Guardians, can you just take this kid for a while, take him into space?" And then he got like his suit changed, and now it looks different and cool. Because he went to like the symbiote planet and everything.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like
apparently I was reading some of the more recent Venom stuff that talks about the origin of Venom, and apparently the symbiote word for planet is the same word as cage, and it's actually effectively like a big prison. It's not their home planet because they were created.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting, but we're not going to see anything like that in the film. It'll be Tom Hardy running around
riding a motorbike
around San Francisco,
getting sweaty and dark circles under his eyes,
cars flipping over in unrealistic ways and stuff. So
if you like press the brakes on the car, it needs to do a triple front flip.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean that goes. Yeah, that's just basic. That's what you learn on day one of car manufacturing.
Car driving, they're like, "Hey, listen, don't hit the brakes or we all die."
Or do.
Damn.
Me IRL. Yeah, so I reckon this film is going to be... what's going to happen? Everyone's going into this expecting it to be bad, I think. With the exception of Philip DeFranco, who's the news guy on YouTube. When the trailer came out, he was like, "This looks awesome." And I'm like, "Philip, what are you doing?" He's the only person I've seen that's like, "This looks anything better than crap."
Yeah.
But I think everyone, apart from Philip, are going in expecting this to be really bad. So if it's bad but not really bad, I'm anticipating people being like, "Hey, this was much better than expected," and me being
Yeah.
like, "Oh, really?" And then
You
no,
watch
it's
it and you're
still
like,
bad.
It's just not awful.
That's exactly what happened to me with Solo,
Yeah.
the Han Solo standalone film. Everyone expected it to be horrific because
We were
they
told.
lost the directors and they did so much reshoots and
He couldn't act.
he couldn't act. Apparently, there was an acting coach on set the entire time because they just couldn't work with him and stuff.
Yeah.
And Ron Howard felt like a weird fit for a Star Wars film when he came in, but then it came out and people were like, "Hey, this is way better than I expected it to be. It wasn't a total mess." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, damn, maybe this is going to be good." And it wasn't really good.
No, it was
I don't think it was like terrible, but it was so forgettable and
passable, you know.
yeah. I'd say this is what this will be. This will have like a 38% Rotten Tomatoes score and like a 61% fan score or something like
Yeah,
that.
I think Venom is kind of. I know Carnage is meant to be like Marvel's Joker, but like fan wise, I think Venom is.
Yeah, definitely.
So in the same the how like when Suicide Squad came out, the Joker fans were like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna love this regardless. I think the Venom fan base is
there's
very much the same.
the Venom fan base are similar to the Joker fan base insofar as that they're mostly people who like these characters because they're on T-shirts at Hot Topic or or like HMV or something, you know. Like,
yeah, they're
and no disrespect, but just you guys are wrong.
sure. Okay.
We should do that, right? We should do like a crap comic book character of the week, and it's just like the Joker, and
Yeah.
it'll upset so many people that we'll get a lot of views. We'll disable dislikes on the video.
This character has no backstory, no real motivation.
He's basically just a plot device, and you should feel bad about yourself.
The bomb he throws is more of a character than he is. Yeah. But yeah, so I think there's a whole lot of people who are going to be slamming that 100%, 10 out of 10 stars. So that'll bump the average up a bit. But
Yeah.
I think there's not really going to be much of a middle ground here. It's going to be a lot of people are like, 4 out of 10. And then a lot of people are like, 10 out of 10, baby.
Yeah, probably.
It had Venom in.
Well, people often get confused about the way that Rotten Tomatoes works, I think, insofar as... I've said insofar as like 4 times this episode already. Rotten Tomatoes works where basically anything over 60% is fresh.
Yeah.
And anything below is rotten.
Yeah.
So the percentage isn't actually, this is a score out of 100%.
Yeah, it's
what
like
percentage of people think that it's 60. So everyone could rate this film 61%. If everyone rated it that, it would have a 100% fresh rating.
Yeah.
So it can be a little divisive and confusing in that way, you know, because people are like, hey, this has got an 85% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and you think, wow, that might be pretty good, but then everyone might just have voted it as like barely scraped by.
Which is so confusing.
It is,
85% means that like 85% of people thought it was 60%.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. So it's a bit confusing how it works like that. Anyway, bottom line, I think this will be bad. Also, I've like all the rumors say that Woody Harrelson is in this as Cletus Cassidy, who's Carnage.
Yeah.
He's not been in any of the trailers or anything.
No.
Do you think he's going to be just like one scene at the end as like we're setting up the next one, and this one will have Carnage?
Yeah, I think so. I think
because it's Riot who's the bad guy in this one, isn't he? Like, well, it's Carlton Drake who runs the Life Foundation.
Yeah.
But I think he's Riot, which he's kind of like red and silver, and like no one cares about him.
They've all got just like the same names. It's Venom, Carnage, Riot, Bad Stuff.
Oh, yeah. Bad Stuff is my favorite. I loved when he was like, "Haha, I'm gonna do it."
He's green, right? And he's got a sad emoji on his chest.
He does, yeah. Actually, he's credited with the invention of the first emoji.
Oh yeah, the first one was sad, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that, but there's someone cutting the grass outside, and whoever it is, probably a bald idiot.
Left the door open, so
Oh.
we can just all hear it.
Anyway, we're gonna eat their eyes, lungs, and pancreas.
Well, they're not fans of the show.
A lot of people have been commenting on that we'll eat your eyes, lungs, and pancreas comment and the turd in the wind one from the Venom trailer. Which,
Yeah.
by the way, guys, if you've not seen the Venom trailer, do watch it because it's quite funny.
Yeah.
Not intentionally so, but it
we're
is.
We're not like saying, giving these lines just because we're like, haha, we'll do it. He tells people that he'll eat very specific parts of their body.
Right, 90s Venom, that's exactly the kind of thing that he'd say.
Yeah.
So I feel like the people that are making fun of those lines because of what they are haven't read the source material.
Yeah.
I think they're worth making fun of because the way that they're delivered is so weird. Though, you know, like, I don't know.
But it is funny to watch, but then I guess, that's how things were in the 90s.
I read that they filmed all of Venom in like 3 weeks, which is just disgusting.
And only at night time by the looks of it.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think we've had any scenes.
Everything is
during the day.
Black and navy, and then like shiny metal blue, metallic looking, and
it kind of reminds you. It's like if you had like a Transformers fight at night.
Yeah,
that's what everything looks
exactly it. Everything's a shiny CGI mess.
Yeah.
Imagine if we came out of this and next week we're reviewing this and like, this is the best film I've ever seen. Like, this is the Citizen Kane of film. Wouldn't that be weird?
Yeah. What about after this we call it the Venom of film?
Oh yeah.
It beats Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane looks like amateur stuff compared to
garbage.
I think at best it'll be passable.
Yeah, passable at best, and that's what we're hoping for.
Why is what's the name of the blonde lady from Manchester by the Sea and stuff? Michelle something, is it?
Michelle.
I think
Pfeiffer.
I've got the DVD over there for Manchester by the Sea somewhere. Do you see it? What's the name on it?
Manchester by the Sea.
Michelle Williams. There we go. There we go. Michelle Williams. That's the one.
Her name is like 4th on the list, so.
And 2nd on the front.
Well, I was looking on the wrong side then, huh?
Yeah, why is she in it? I don't know who her character is. I don't remember her at all from the comics.
Is she meant to be like, in Spider-Man 3, Eddie Brock was like, I'm dating Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
Were they like, we can't use Gwen Stacy, so
I don't. But why couldn't they use Gwen Stacy?
Gwen Mason.
Oh God, I don't know. I think she's a journalist as well.
Yeah.
Which is the Spider-Man PlayStation 4 approach of just like, we can't just make everyone models and actresses anymore because that would be deemed sexist in today's environment. So they're journalists now. That's what MJ is. Forget all of her, acting and modeling and even nude modeling history in the comics. She's a journalist now.
What's up with comics and being like, everyone's a journalist? Journalism is doing so well.
I watched quite an interesting video from, those guys, the film theorists?
Yeah.
I haven't watched them in quite a long time, but I watched one of them recently, and it was about the ethics of the Daily Planet, which is the fictional newspaper company from Superman. And basically, they gave so many instances of breaking every law of journalism, which was really interesting. Because, you look at the Daily Bugle from Spider-Man, and obviously that's run by J. Jonah Jameson, who's a bit of a machine.
Yeah.
But the fact that they broke every law of journalism was really interesting. I can't remember all of them, and I'm no expert on journalism. But
don't print a paper and just leave the sports section blank.
Yeah,
that's the #1 rule.
Well, isn't it weird how they tossed Superman around from sports to this and then this and then this, and then he's like, I want to write about the Batman, and they're like, no, you're not capable of that. You've made him do everything else.
I think the people writing it didn't get how journalism really worked. They were like, you just go in and they give you something to write, and then you do it. Different section.
Or you don't do it.
Yeah, if you don't do it, then they don't edit around it. They just put that blank section right on the front page.
That video made a good case for basically that journalism, because anything that Clark Kent writes is basically a lie and basically pro-Superman.
Yeah.
Because it's withholding information and it's got its own spin on it and stuff as well. And I thought, I never really thought about that.
Yeah. What if Clark was just really anti-Superman in his writing, just to throw everyone off?
It's more of a Jekyll and Hyde situation then, is it? That'd be all right.
Yeah, it'd be interesting way to take it.
Anyway, I'm gonna say I expect Venom to be Pierk out of Pierce Brosnan. Yeah, in case you're confused, that's our new rating system.
Yeah. How many letters of the name Pierce Brosnan do you give it? I'm gonna go for Pierre.
Pierre?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm giving it one more. I'm giving it Pirk, which is
Yuck.
6 out of 13.
Okay, so almost half.
Yeah, maybe I'm being a bit generous.
That's why I'm going for Pier, because I think it's more of a 40% kind of
Okay,
thing.
yeah. All right. Fair. Well, we'll see.
Fair.
If you could just before we move on, because we've rambled about not much for too long now. Like if any character that isn't just from the immediate Venom mythos was to show up in this film, who would you most want to be in it?
Any character not from the Venom mythos.
Yeah, so not just a Venom spin-off like Carnage or Riot or Anti-Venom or anything, but like any other character.
I'd like to get like another Spider-Man villain, just like a completely different one,
Right.
who we've not seen much of or any of in the film.
Right.
In the films, I think even if they were just like, they don't have to like, rob another bank, whatever, but just if they've got like, they're in the Life Foundation or whatever, working there.
Yeah.
I don't know, who have we not have? Obviously, we've not had Craven the Hunter, but I don't want him just.
No, I don't know. I don't. So this isn't part of the MCU necessarily.
No.
So they've made this PG-13, which means that they're going to cut out any violence, or every time anyone gets hurt, they'll just cut away and you'll hear a scream.
Yeah.
With the hope of it eventually becoming part of the MCU, but I don't think it's going to be good enough to achieve that. I think it would really have to be like Knockout, like do super well in order for Marvel to consider it. But I think that I don't want anyone to appear in it that would be a good character that could be used in the MCU.
Yeah,
I don't want them to be like, oh no, they've already used that at Sony and we don't want to be affiliated with that.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
no, fair. Put in Quicksilver again.
We don't have enough cinematic versions of Quicksilver.
Put in another Green Goblin.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And
well,
he's
we've only
3?
Three, really?
Yeah. We've had Green Goblin from Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
Green Goblin from Spider-Man 3.
Okay,
Green Goblin
right.
from Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Amazing Spider-Man 2 wasn't like a real Green Goblin though, was he?
No.
It was like a. I can't remember him. I thought he only transforms. Did he actually do anything?
Yeah, he killed Gwen Stacy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Damn.
That film really stayed with you, huh?
Yeah, it's had some long-lasting impact.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, it was him or Electro's tooth gap. They were
the two biggest things.
the two villains.
Yeah.
Great, let's move on. Who cares about Venom? Not me. So, in conclusion, I'd rather die than see Venom, but I'm gonna see it.
Damn. Well, there's no episode next week. Yes, we're gonna move on to crap comic book character turd of the week.
Haha.
Hello. Yeah, so I'm taking the reins this time. I'm channeling us back into DC because I don't think we've done one of those in a little while.
Mm-hmm.
In our practice ones, I did a Batman villain who was really weird, and then I kind of just continued reading that comic, and so
I already forget who that was.
it was the 10-Eyed Man.
Oh yes, that's
but
right.
The villain this time is Colonel Sulphur, who's got nothing really to do with sulfur. He's not a colonel.
Is he from Hell?
No, he's just a guy.
Right.
But it starts off with the comic starts off with him just like explaining his plan, and he's like, "Man, I've gotten this guy called MacGuffin to I'm blackmailing him because I've kidnapped his wife, and he's gonna steal me information from the university he works at." Doesn't say what the information is, but
right.
And he's like, and I've got a glove with a knife in it. So just like a knife pops out of the finger of his glove, and he's like, "Nah, no one will mess with me." And so it cuts to Commissioner Gordon, and he's with some like FBI agents, and they're like, "There's no point calling Batman. He's only in it for the big things. He only wants the glory." And as he's saying it, Batman like swings through the window, and he's like, "Hey, Commissioner Gordon, how goes the crime?" And the FBI guy, he's so shocked his glasses come off his face. He's like, "Buh! It really is Batman." And he's like, "Hey, listen, Batman, I'm with the FBI, and there's no way you can solve this crime."
If you live in the DC universe, Batman's probably the least surprising thing. And if you work for just even the regular FBI,
Yeah.
I'd say you've probably seen weirder and scarier things than Batman anyway.
And it's not like he was in the shadows. He just kind of like walks over and is like, "Hey guys, what's going on?"
He breaks the window.
No, the window's open.
All right.
In these old comics, he never breaks the window. It's always open. He just
okay.
flies through the little window.
Convenient.
And the FBI guy's like, "Hey, listen, man, this is my job." So Batman just like picks him up and throws him out the door and is like, "Sorry, I'm allergic to nerds."
Did he actually say that?
He says I'm allergic to, and I can't remember. It's not. He doesn't say the word nerds, but it's
right.
That's basically what he says.
Is it some kind of like 60s vernacular for the same thing, like squares or something?
Yeah, I'm allergic to squares. And then he's like, "All right, Commissioner, what do you got?" And he's like, "Well, the whole place smells like sulfur." Because for some reason, even though
it's a knife, the bad guy's got a knife as a weapon.
Yeah,
and it smells
but
like
I think
sulfur.
he leaves sulfur around as like his calling card.
Right.
However, he was trying to pin this crime on Mr. MacGuffin, so there's no reason why he would leave it smelling like sulfur. And he's like, "All right, do you have anything?" And they're like, "Yeah, we've got this small chunk of metal." And they pick up this like tiny chunk of metal, and none of them have gloves. Well, I guess Batman has gloves on, but they each pass around this piece of evidence to each other. There's like. And they're like, "Wow, it's a small piece of metal." They pass it to the next guy.
I can imagine they're like, "Oh, there's no fingerprints on this. No, let me have a look." And then they all pass it around, and they're like, "By Jove, there are fingerprints on this."
And they're like, "What? It's about the size of a pea." Passes it to the next guy. "Yep, this sure is a piece of metal." And it's so unnecessary. They just mess it all. Also, the piece of metal never comes back. They never explain what it is. So I guess it doesn't matter anyway. And they're like, Batman's like, "Well, do you have any leads?" And they're like, "Yeah, Mr. MacGuffin works here. I guess he's the only person who works in the building." And obviously, like, the first lead is who it is. So Batman just swings around to that guy's house. And there's a lot of him doing... At this stage, they kind of forgotten earlier that he was meant to be the best detective in the world. So in every issue, he does some stupid detective work.
You mean kind of like the way that they've forgotten that he's the best detective in the world for the last 30 years of Batman?
Yeah, but they tried to bring it back.
Right.
So he goes into this hotel, and there's like the doorman or whatever, and he's like, "Hey man, is Mr. MacGuffin in?" And the doorman's like, "No man, he just left with his wife." And Batman's like, "Oh, cool."
Doormen are the most helpful in comics as well. They always give everyone's whereabouts and like what they get up to at different times of day. And
he's like, "Nope, they left. Can I help you with anything?" Batman's like, "Yeah, this," and then he just kills him.
Wait, Batman does.
Batman does, yeah. And then he's like...
He kills the doorman.
Yeah, he's like, "I know you're not a real doorman because you're wearing Arkle socks," which are those, like, socks, like, golf socks.
What?
He's like, "A real doorman would never wear Arkle socks."
So he kills him just in case.
He kills him just in case.
Do you ever just read some of these comics and you just feel tired? Like you just feel like
this was me. I was like, why are you doing? Batman beats up everyone in this issue for no reason.
He's got such a moral compass when it comes to anyone else doing anything that could harm people, but he's got no problem just killing people.
He doesn't wait to find out if the guy is a thug. He just like knocks him out and is like, "All right."
It's only the Joker that he's like, "No, I don't hurt people." Like, yeah. I'm just starting to think he has a soft spot for the Joker.
Yeah. So he presses the buzzer for Mr. MacGuffin's floor and he pretends to be the doorman. And he's like, "Hey, it's me, it's the doorman. Sorry, Batman got past me, so he's coming up the stairs. Get by the door and get ready to shoot him the second he enters." And they're like, "All right, boss, we're gonna do it." But then he just climbs up the fire escape and beats him up from behind. And Mr. MacGuffin's like, "Oh, Batman, I'm so sorry I did the crime. They've got my wife held hostage." And Batman's like, "Oh, no, man, it's okay. I just killed 4 people. It's no biggie." So they become friends. They talk about the situation. And Mr. MacGuffin's like, "Yeah, so he's going to call to make sure that I've stolen the papers. So I just need to answer as soon as the phone rings." The phone rings and Mr. MacGuffin reaches for it. And then Batman just beats him up too. And he's like, "No, I want to answer the phone."
So he beats him up in the time that it takes the phone to ring.
Yeah, he just like starts clobbering him.
Pretty quick,
yeah. And then he picks up the phone and he's like, "Hey, it's me, Mr. MacGuffin." And then Colonel Sulphur is like, "No, it's not. You don't sound like Mr. MacGuffin." And I also gave him a password to say. And he looks down at like the beaten Mr. MacGuffin. He's like, "Oh man, I messed up."
Oh, I thought you were going to say he looks down and there's like the passwords just written on a piece of paper.
No, but he's like, "Oh man, you got me there. So he's like, right, well, I'm killing Mr. MacGuffin's wife.
Okay.
But you don't know where I am. I guess you couldn't do the thing back in this day where you just like check where the phone number where it came from, because he's like, oh, there's all. He said he was.
So where's this sulfur guy coming in?
The sulfur guy is the guy who's kidnapped the wife.
Right. Okay.
So he's the one who's calling, and he's like,
right. Okay. Right.
You didn't do the password, and he's like, right, I'm gonna kill him, and then I'm gonna check out. And Batman's like, oh, that means he's in a hotel.
That narrows it down.
Yeah, but he's like, but there's 300 hotels in Gotham. What am I gonna do? But luckily, there's only one, which is next to a train line, and he heard a train in it, so he's like, I know exactly which one it is. It's really funny because in the last issue, they really wanted to show that Batman was like, he knows all martial arts. So he's fighting underwater, and he's like, oh no, I can't punch underwater, but I can do a judo flip and a karate chop and all this thing.
I thought
in this one,
there's probably some kind of like Atlantean martial art that Aquaman has taught him at some stage.
He does. He does like all these different martial arts. In this one, he's just back to punching. He does nothing. He doesn't do anything other than just punch people.
Yeah.
So he's stressing out, and Commissioner's like, man, calm down. It's only one crime that you failed to stop. And he's like, no, my reputation, man. I can't let this happen. So he works it out. He arrives there, and they have a big tussle. Yeah, so Colonel Sulphur's whole shtick is he's got a glove that like this little knife comes out of, but it's so useless.
It's a small knife.
It's like half the length of your finger,
and it's not even like poison tipped or anything.
It's not like just hold the knife.
Yeah, sure. Like, so if I had just had my hand flat like that and hit you with it, I'd probably break my fingers.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to stab someone, surely you just probably break your finger, no?
He only stabs Batman.
Or does he slash? Does he like slash?
No, he stabs Batman in the bicep, and Batman's like, oh no, my weak spot, my bicep. You've really got me.
The only break in my arm or my bicep.
My bicep. Actually, there's a bit before, because it takes Batman like an hour to work out where it is.
So can I just say as well, nowadays Batman would get stabbed in the bicep, and then he'd be like, my bicep, and then he'd be like, luckily I've got bicep to spare. He's like pumps out his massive muscles, flexes on the guy, and then kills him.
Batman wasn't that muscular. He's just a dude in this one, really.
So this is what year is this? Do you know?
So the comic started coming out in 1940.
Okay. Yeah.
But this is like issue 250 or something.
Right.
So we're in like
probably
late 1960s, early 1970s.
Oh, really? That late?
Yeah.
So it wasn't monthly at that stage?
I think it was like bi-weekly. Meaning once every 2 weeks rather than twice a week. Because that can mean both for whatever reason.
Can it really?
Bi-weekly can mean twice a week or once every 2 weeks.
I thought it was fortnight for every 2 weeks.
Yeah, but in America they don't use fortnight, so they say bi-weekly again.
America, explain!
But because it took an hour, he's like to Mrs. MacGuffin, hey, you're probably wondering why I've not killed you yet, right? Well, I have a fetish for sunrise. I only do my crime at sunrise. So you've got like an hour.
Is this director Terrence Malick as a villain?
It looks like it. And so by sunrise, Batman's arrived there. He beats him up. He keeps punching Batman in the face. And I'm like, you've got a knife in your hand. If that's your whole gimmick, why aren't you stabbing him in the face?
And half of his face is exposed as well.
Yeah. But he just keeps going for a punch to the back of the head.
Does this Sulphur guy, does he have any costume?
He's got a goatee, more like a soul patch.
Okay.
And then he's got like a purple suit.
Okay.
But like a purple, like...
Oh, the classic DC Batman villain purple suit look.
Not like a purple, like, supervillain suit, like a purple suit.
Yeah, like a Joker suit.
Yeah, more like that.
Right.
And I guess he's, like, slightly more agile, he's jumping through windows and stuff, but, like, Batman doesn't even have that much difficulty with him.
Right.
But then he's leaning over Batman, he's about to stab him, but then a ray of sunrise glances off his knife and blinds him. And so Batman's like, this is the opportunity I needed. Time to kill him. And so he deals with him, knocks him out. He's like, right, I'll go back to Commissioner Gordon and say it's all okay. The FBI guys are there and they're like, hey, Batman, you're under arrest. because we're the FBI and only we can do that. And so he just like picks him up and throws him at the door again. And he's like, all in a day's work, ladies and gentlemen. Oh.
This feels like one of those issues. You ever do it where you're reading like a good run of comics? There's like a story that takes place over 6 to 10 issues or something like that, and then the one that comes immediately after is a one-off issue with a new character that you've never heard of, and they'll never be in anything again.
Yeah.
And you're just like, give me back the goods, and you just kind of skim through it in case there's any important like character relation stuff. But you don't want to read it actually. And
it's such a useless episode, and this is also the era where it's the comic is called Batman and Robin,
but Robin's not in it.
No, it's a Batman comic, and then there's a one-page Robin comic at the end. They never interact, and Robin has his own versions of all. There's like a version of Talia al Ghul who's called like Tina, who's like got the same art and everything, but it's just his version of Talia.
Oh yeah, so kind of like. The original Teen Titans had Kid Flash and Wonder Girl and Aqualad, who are just exactly the same as their adult counterparts, but they were like, we gotta sell it to children better.
Yeah.
All the children want these damn Marvel comics nowadays.
Yeah, that's basically how.
Right, yeah.
So, but what I wanted to do with this one is, if it was in a film, obviously you're not having a film which is just about Colonel Sulphur.
Yeah.
But
so he'd have to show up and die.
Yeah, but we had a talk one time about a Batman film which is like a night in the life of Batman.
Yeah,
where
that'd be cool.
He's got so much stuff going on, and it's like it doesn't have to be the Penguin or Bane or whatever coming up. Sometimes it's just Colonel Sulphur.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just there's a guy who thinks he's a supervillain because he's strapped a knife to his glove.
Yeah.
And he's got a gimmick about sunrise, and so he's got all these he's got to do this thing in this time and this thing in that time, and he's worn down by the end of by the film. He's like he's so done because he's been up all night and he's just in bits. You know?
Yeah, that'd be cool. A film kind of like is it Dallas by Richard Linklater, which just kind of goes through like a day in the city, basically. But a night for Batman, and he's just kind of worn down by just the sheer number of like crimes that he has to stop, and maybe you could have like relationship stuff and kind of stuff with Alfred, and he's got like his business to run and stuff like that. And,
he's got so much on his plate.
He's so much on his plate, and just the fatigue would be really interesting, I think. In terms of
so I thought he'd be okay in this because he's not just a thug.
Yeah, but he's also not big enough to be.
It's not a film for him.
I've not seen this guy, but who do you reckon would be a good fit for them?
It depends on how serious you want to take him.
What's the dude's full name?
Colonel Sulphur.
Okay.
Because actually we were talking about Friends.
Yeah.
And I was reading this and I was like, I want David Schwimmer to play this villain.
Wait, which one's David? Is he Ross?
He's Ross, yeah. Because it'd be so funny.
Oh wow, yeah, I've seen a picture of him. He really is just a dude.
Yeah, he's just a dude. And I guess if you wanted to take it more seriously, what's the name of that?
David Schwimmer would be fun though.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him in a Marvel film.
Yeah, like if you want to take it seriously, go with like Tobin Bell or whatever, who's from Saw. The older.
Not really.
Okay, well he's a creepy looking guy.
Okay, right.
And he basically he plays Saw. But he also basically just writes it. They come to him and like, what would Saw do? And he's like,
he plays Saw.
Yeah. The guy in Jigsaw.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that guy Jigsaw?
Yeah, right. He plays Jigsaw, but they're also like, hey man, what would Jigsaw do? And he's like, he would do this thing. So guy's a bit scary. So if you want to make him like,
sure.
If you want to go for a darker DC, but David Schwimmer is my real choice.
Yeah.
My real choice is
I think that it's not who DC would cast,
no,
but it's
who I would
cast. And I agree. I like that.
Yeah.
He'd be funny. He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
Though that being said, he was in The People vs. OJ.
He was really good in The People vs. OJ.
Whatever it was, bless you. Wait, that wasn't a sneeze, it was a cough. So I redact that, bless you.
God damn. Good to hell.
Yeah, The People versus OJ, just everyone was so good in that. Like, John Travolta was in that, and I couldn't dislike John Travolta more. Like, I do not like him in any film. Even the films that people, love, like Pulp Fiction, I'm like, just not about it. I don't like him in Grease. I don't like him in Battlestar, whatever
Galactica?
something like something. Um, I'm just not a fan. I think I saw him in The Punisher when like I was younger, and I thought he was kind of cool in that. And then when I watched,
Was he the Punisher?
No, he was. I forget.
Okay.
Maybe he was Micro. No, he was a villain, I think.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't remember.
Just because from a memory of the Punisher, I couldn't put a face on him, but then in my mind it was John Travolta, and it was really weird.
I think the Punisher came out like 2004, so I think that he'd have been too old even then.
Past his best. Yeah.
But,
but he was really good.
Yeah, John Travolta was amazing in People vs. OJ. Yeah, so that show, whatever it was about, maybe it was the directing, I don't know, but every actor
gave it their
all. You want a director like that who can just pull a good performance out of anybody. You know.
Yeah.
I was watching $1 Million Baby, which is directed by Clint Eastwood, the other night, last night actually, and that dude who's called like Jay something. He's like the ratty little dude who's in like all films like James Franco and Seth Rogen, like a comedy guy.
Oh, you know he voices Hiccup in How to Train Your Dragon.
Does he? Yeah, sure, probably.
And
that sounds about right.
He's like the main character in that.
But like he's not a serious actor, but he's so good in that. And I'm like, Clint Eastwood, he really knows how to pull a performance out of an actor as well. Also, in that film, you've got the dude who plays Luke Cage, the dude who plays Louise in Ant-Man, and the dude who plays Falcon, like all in the ring together. Oh, really? Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it's weird how that works out.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd love to see. There was talk a while ago about Clint Eastwood doing an Iron Man film. I think it'd be sick. Yeah, it'd be so fun. I'd like that a lot. He'd probably put himself in it as someone as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who we cast him as Clint Eastwood in an Iron Man film?
Wait, cast as or cast Clint Eastwood as?
Cast Clint. Cast Clint.
God.
Oh God.
Try to say that. Saying that. Oh no, this is getting even worse. Try saying that 5 times fast. Who we cast him as? I don't know.
Welcome to Deep Dive Cinema, the only podcast where we can't talk.
Damn, that's kind of depressing, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do we like?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll think about who we'd cast him as, and we'll talk about it next week, maybe.
Yeah, well
I finished Iron Fist Season 2 this week.
Much better than the first one you were saying?
So much better, yeah. I really quite liked it,
I've not seen either of those.
Well, Iron Fist Season 1 is bad. I think it's probably the worst out-and-out season on paper. Iron Fist Season 2 was nice, though. I liked it.
Does it redeem it enough that I should watch the first one?
No, you'd probably watch like a 15-minute recap on YouTube or something, and
then watch the second season.
Call it done. Yeah, no, it was good. I didn't like the character Davos in the first season. I didn't really like Colleen that much. Who's his? She teaches a karate dojo, and they kind of have like a love interest, but she really worked in this season.
Okay. And
there were several episodes where Colleen teams up with Misty Knight from Luke Cage.
Oh, yeah.
And that was... I never liked Misty and Luke Cage either, but them as a duo was really good. Really strong. I like them together a lot.
I've not seen season 2 of Luke Cage, which is like next on my list. But, so maybe they already have, but if they haven't, do you think they're gonna get rid of her arm?
Oh, they did. They did that in Defenders.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and then she gets her fake arm halfway through season 2 of Luke Cage.
Okay, because I was watching the first one, and then they were like, they shot through her arm, and they like had to torque her, and I was like, oh man, they're gonna amputate her.
Why haven't you watched the Defenders yet?
Because I haven't watched Iron Fist yet. So I watched that recap, then I'll watch Defenders.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But also, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, no, but like I was wondering when she was gonna get that arm.
I had an amazing idea for Daredevil season 3, which is coming out next week. No, next month, 19th of October. So obviously they've not tied in any of the Netflix shows to the wider MCU.
Yeah.
Though they did a little bit more in the last few seasons. In Jessica Jones season 2, she mentions the Raft, which is the super high security prison, which appeared in Captain America Civil War. So that's a bit more of a tie-in. And then actually there's a couple of scenes in in Iron Fist season 2, which take place in Sokovia, which obviously was Age of
Age
Ultron,
of
and the
Ultron, yeah.
Sokovia Accords have, had repercussions throughout. But imagine a scene where Daredevil has been caught, and he's in a room with one dude who's interrogating him, and then that dude just gets dusted. He just gets snapped by Thanos.
Oh, yeah.
And Daredevil cannot see what's happening. He has no idea what's going on. There's no noise, and he's just like, what has happened? Maybe it could even be Kingpin. Like, Kingpin's like finally got him knuckled down. He's rolling up his sleeves to kill him. Then he just gets dusted, and there's no... he can't do anything. He's just stuck there. He's confused. He can hear like chaos happening outside, and then that'd just be like the end of the season.
Yeah,
that would be so sick.
Yeah,
I'd love that.
No, that's a great end to it.
I had that as an idea, and I got chills just thinking about it. I was like, of all the people it could be as well, that'd be so good.
Because, what's the name of the guy who plays Daredevil?
Englishman.
He, with that character, he can do like just like utter confusion so well.
Yeah.
There's that one scene where Daredevil goes deaf. And like just like the confusion and fear that he portrays.
I see that dude in anything, and I think he's blind. Like, I don't know why he looks so blind, but he does it incredibly.
I guess it's just like his eyes. He does very well.
I've seen him in a couple of other things, and I just presume that he's blind because I'm so used to it. Like, I'm so sold.
He really pulls that off.
Yeah. Did you see the teaser with Kingpin where he's in the classic white suit?
Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah. Oh baby, I'm excited. I love Kingpin.
Kingpin is really good.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to more Kingpin, especially like that performance in the first season of Daredevil was phenomenal.
Incredible. Daredevil season 1 and 2 are my favorite Netflix shows by quite some. And I like one of my favorite TV shows, I think, as well. Like, Daredevil, they set really, such a high bar. Yeah, incredible. I'm excited.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was thinking about Misty Knight. Did you ever read that Spider-Man Runs Spider Island?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Because in that one, because she's got like a robot arm, everyone in New York gets turned into a giant spider. At first, everyone gets Spider-Man's powers, but then everyone just turns into a giant spider.
That's a weird one.
When she's a giant spider, one of the spider legs is just still a human robot arm. It's really funny.
It's bizarre that. Who gave her the fake arm in the comics? Do you remember? Because it's Rand Enterprises in the Netflix shows.
I don't know. I mean, it's been around for a long time.
Maybe she just always had it.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Anyway,
yeah.
I think that's basically all this week.
Yeah. Shorter episode.
But you'll take what you get and you'll be pleased about it.
It's double stuff. It's double concentrate.
Yeah. So we're both just going to talk over each other from now on, so you get twice the content.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you have all had a good week. Do you have any reading recommendations for people? Anything?
We did it last week, but that Doctor Strange run, if you're ever going to read Doctor Strange run, read that.
That's the one to read.
Yeah.
And I would recommend you the 2007 run of The Immortal Iron Fist, which introduces the immortal weapons, which I'll talk about more a different week, but that's a future I'd really like to see Iron Fist go down. Like, it's a really interesting topic of, discussion and content. So that's good. Check that out. But buy them legally.
Ooh, damn.
I wouldn't recommend you to read them online.
Wink, wink. You can't see how much my eye is winking. It looks like I rubbed salt into it.
Actually, let's not say that in case we ever manage to get a sponsor from like Comixology or something.
Read them legally or at Comixology.com.
We're just preparing for any potential future sponsors. Just being safe.
One reading recommendation I had for you, which I guess I can send to the listeners, was that Chaos Walking trilogy, which is a sci-fi trilogy by Patrick Ness, which they're making into a film.
Described that to me, and I was like, that sounds like utter nonsense, but I'll give it a go.
It's like the world, for someone who like really appreciates world building. The world building in that, I know I'm always like, but the world building.
Yeah.
But that's what I love in writing is when you're like, this feels like a real place, and you can understand how everything works in that place. And then I think the writing in it also is just
great. Yeah, I'll give it a go. Why not? I've been reading that.
The first one is The Knife of Never Letting Go, and it's by Patrick Ness.
That's quite a title.
Yeah.
Chaos Walking, The Knife of Never Letting Go.
Yeah.
by Patrick Ness.
By Patrick Ness.
At least his name's simple enough.
Yeah, and the film is gonna have Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland, so I have high hopes for it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
cool. Great.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. That might wrap it up for this week.
Yeah, 45 minutes. Wow, we finally did it.
Every week we're like, let's try to keep it to 45 minutes, and then it's an hour and 5, and we're like, well,
apparently that's the average length of a person's commute. So we've been recommended to keep it to 45 minutes in order to be able to fit it in your commute. But now that we've told you this has gone over 45 minutes, so we've let you down.
You're going to be walking into work, and your boss is going to be jamming at one ear, and we'll be talking about Venom in the other. And that's all it is.
Well, if you're walking into work and you've only got to the part where we talked about Venom, then that's on you.
Yeah. Like, what did you nap? I guess. Hey, sleep's important. Kiss.
God bless. All right, we're out. See you next week. Like and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter and all that.
Upvote.
All that commercial type things. Share with your good pals.
Share with your lover. Share with your friend. Share with your nan.
All right.
Yeah.
See you next week.